Welcome to the Virtual Ball Boys podcast. My name is Chris, and I am joined once again by my good friend, Matt.
So I was at the Portillo's drive-thru last week, and the guy taking my order asked me if I was from Winnipeg. And when I said no, he said, "Oh, thank God." What did he mean by this?
Here's the thing. I forgive me for being an American, I guess, but I didn't realize that there was any animosity for any sort of Canadian city.
No,
you know,
I didn't either.
Yeah, so I just kind of like look at all of them. I know like geographically where they're located, and that's kind of about it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that's about. But maybe does Portillo? You said Portillo's was where you're ordering from.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I don't know. Does Winnipeg have fucked up hot dogs or something?
Excuse me?
I don't know. Isn't Portillo's a hot dog place?
It is.
Yeah. So like I'm just saying, like maybe they're like appalled by Winnipeg's either love or hatred.
They put too much ketchup on it.
That, you know what? Maybe that's the connection that they are so adverse to.
Chicago, no ketchup. No ketchup allowed on your hot dogs. Winnipeg, only ketchup.
Right, exactly. In fact,
get that fucking pickle spear out of the hot dog bun. What the fuck are you doing?
Actually, don't even put the hot dog in the bun. Just put a bunch of ketchup in it and then just eat the hot dog bun.
We call them catch dogs.
Catch dog, right? Exactly. We are disparaging the city of Winnipeg right now, but apparently that guy had an agenda and it's stuck with that.
The closest American city to Winnipeg is Fargo, North Dakota.
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess that maybe is already a bad sign for Winnipeg if you're closest to North Dakota at this point. North Dakota taking shots, and I don't care. Anyways, welcome everybody.
Chris hates North Dakota.
I vehemently hate North Dakota with a passion. Why can't it just be one big Dakota? I don't understand. This is a fun podcast because this episode we're burying teams. It's our annual bury. We open up the cemetery. We have a bunch of graves. We don't use all the graves, but we have graves laid out, and we're going to be escorting some teams into said grave today, basically saying, hey, you know what? You tried, but this season's over for you, more than likely. We'll have a chance to save some of these teams later on in the season, but for now, it's all about...
If they turn it around.
If they turn it around, of course, yes. But for now, it's all about, like, we just gotta put you in your place right now. So we're gonna bury them today. Of course, we're also going to pick our Week 5 games. But first things first, let's go ahead and recap Week 4. Full disclosure, I had a very active Sunday. So all the games that we're talking about for this slate, I didn't really get the chance to see live. Tried to watch a couple of highlights. So forgive me if I am just completely blind to a lot of the stuff that happened. But I did get a chance to see a good amount of our game of the week through the highlight reel, and that was Rams at the Colts. And I wanted to talk about this game. Now, of course, there's quite a few great games on Sunday, but this one in particular just stands out to me because I'm like, two teams that I don't think I had any anticipation for being very good. I guess I kind of felt that with the Rams. It's why I chaosed them Week 1, where I was just kind of like, maybe this team might be better than expected, but I think they're playing even better than that in some capacity.
Yeah.
But I find both of these teams very interesting, and they're both very exciting teams, and for different reasons. And I think for me, it's like each team has that one player that's very fun to watch right now. I think for the Rams, it's Puka Nacua, who's come out of nowhere as a 5th-round rookie and is lighting it up. He's already broken a early catch record.
Yeah. Like the number of receptions in like your first 5 games or whatever.
Yeah,
and he's only played 4 games.
Right, and like you could say like, oh well, that's just because Cooper Kupp's not around. They needed him as a receiver, but he's playing very well. Like he's playing like in a way that they don't. Getting Cooper Kupp back is not necessarily a necessity, but it will be an advantage for them to have another wide receiver in that offense, which is, by the way, playing very well. And shout out to Matthew Stafford, who, yes, he's injured, and we'll see how that impacts this week, but he's playing extremely well this year.
I think we can finally say, and we can say this after the Super Bowl for sure, but Matthew Stafford is a good quarterback.
Yeah, very good, like extremely good, and I think.
And Matthew Stafford is one of the single best quarterbacks for wide receivers. Yeah. Like, if you are a wide receiver playing for Matthew Stafford, you are going to have a good time.
Yeah, it's...
Just look... I don't think Puka Nacua does this with any other quarterback.
Right, yeah. This could just be the fact that he ended up in a good situation, or that he had a good quarterback. But I'm very impressed with Puka Nacua. I think he could be, like, if CJ Stroud and Anthony Richardson weren't doing great things right now, I think he could be in that conversation for Offensive Rookie of the Year, too. Like, like he's playing very well. And speaking of Richardson, like, this team the Colts were down 23-0 in the middle of the third quarter, and they started roaring back and at least forced overtime. And then Matthew Stafford found Nacua for the game-winning touchdown reception in overtime. But Anthony Richardson is just like... I think there was a lot of skepticism coming in because he was just like this big-armed nobody guy where, like, everyone was just like, oh, he didn't really play that much in college. But
it was the raw athleticism that drove that teams were looking for.
Exactly, and it was just like people saw something in him that felt like, you know what, in an NFL offense he could really do some magical things, and this was a magical game for him. He had one like quick scramble. This wasn't like the most amazing play, but it kind of just shows like a level of like Patrick Mahomes-iness that might be in Richardson, where he like the offensive line kind of like folds in on itself, and you have a bunch of defenders coming towards Richardson, and he like scrambles to his left and then just easily tosses it to a tight end. I believe it was a tight end for the touchdown reception in this game. And I was just like, man, like, he just makes some magical plays. He's throwing the ball really well down the field, finding his receivers. And like, the thing is like, maybe the one thing about this Colts team is that they don't have that great of a running game. However, Jonathan Taylor might be coming back.
Might be.
Supposedly, the Colts are saying that he is returning to practice, and he might end up playing maybe as soon as this week. Who knows? But man, like, I'm a little surprised about this, because I feel like after years where we were talking about, like, the early seasons of Virtual Ball Boys, we had a Colts team that was so talented, but kind of kept on falling short of expectations each time. And I think the last few years had been more along the lines of them being just kind of like, they're not as talented as they used to be. They've lost a lot of that talent, and now they're just kind of like one of just the bottom of the pool NFL franchises right now. But then I just feel like now we're at the point where, like, maybe the Colts have a good chance at this division if Anthony Richardson keeps on playing well. And, like, to transition the chaos of the week, like, you also have the Texans to worry about too, who put it on the Steelers 30-6. And I think right now, with the way the Jaguars have been playing, and a Titans team that's been having it better for, like, he's been completely on and off throughout the entire season. I just, like, are the Colts and Texans the favorite to win this division right now?
They could be.
Yeah.
The Texans are on a roll. And, you know, I saw, obviously the Texans were my Team Chaos, and then they pulled it off, but you should not be on your second and third straight offensive line and not let the Steelers defense just fucking run all over you.
Right.
This is not what was necessarily supposed to happen. Right? No. I think part of it is the Steelers are in a lot of trouble. Their offense fucking sucks.
Right.
they're without Deontay Johnson, who's one of their best wide receivers, but even just the play calling is not good.
No.
Yeah. So I would agree that the Texans. Honestly, I like the Texans the most for this division right now.
I mean, I think that the Texans had a rough first 2 games, but the next 2 that they've had against the Jags and then the Steelers, they look like they're starting to kind of like build this like, okay, like wait a second, there's something here where like there's a lot of players on the Texans that are rented from other teams. I say rented, meaning like they're just free agent pickups or whatever. Like there's a lot of free agents on this team, but slowly but surely, like with the rookies that they have, who are, like, I mean, and at least the main one that they drafted with C.J. Stroud, like is playing amazingly.
Yeah, and even he's building a lot of great connections with Nico Collins, who's young,
right.
Tank Dell, who's also a rookie.
Right. Yeah.
It's very good vibes.
Right. So it is looking really interesting if you're a Texans fan who's had to deal with the Deshaun Watson saga and who's had to deal with just coach hire after coach hire, has been through absolute hell, and now it's like, well, maybe things are brighter and maybe brighter sooner than expected, potentially for the Texans. So it's really interesting. I skipped over them this one, but the blowout of the week is Patriots at the Boys. Matt, did you watch this one at all?
I not closely.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point you just have to go, seeing Bill Belichick get his ass handed to him is entertaining. But is it that entertaining?
Yeah, like after a while, you're just kind of like, all right,
yeah. It's like, okay, the Cowboys are a really good football team.
Yeah.
I would rather be playing Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Yeah, there you go. I like this is not a 70-20 blowout where it's just entertaining to watch the team like go down the field every single time. This is a 38-3. The other team is just miserable, and we're just running out the clock at this point type of game.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cowboys bounced back from a rough week 3 and got the win, and so now they're sitting at 3-1 going into this week's matchup against the Niners. Patriots are 1-3. All right. Speaking of the Patriots and potentially many other teams that are below 500 right now. It is time to just destroy these terrible teams. Destroy is maybe not the word for it, but it's more so just acknowledging the truth and acknowledging where we're at with things. And of course, we say it's the truth now, and there's been times where we've done this segment and things turn around for at least one of these teams. I think last year was probably the smoothest year that we've had. I think we picked like 8 teams that we were like, yeah, no, there's no way for any of these teams. And then I don't think any of them made it close. I have to go back and double check that.
Jaguars would be the only ones that I could think.
Yeah, well, that's true. But what we did I think our resurrection segment might have saved the Jags.
Yes.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah, last year was Texans, Panthers, Bears, Cardinals, Broncos, Colts, Rams, Packers. That Packers maybe was...
That was close.
That was a close one.
That was a close one.
That was a close one, but we took care of business there, and it was all
Thank you,
good.
Lions.
Thank you, Lions. So yeah, how it works is that we're just gonna go through the teams. I have the list standings right here. We're just gonna be like whether or not we want to bury them. It has to be a unanimous decision. If one person is hesitant, we're going to just say no. We're not going to go down that direction. We'll of course explain our reasoning and stuff because we want to keep the segment interesting. But obviously, let's start here. Any team that is 4-0 and 3-1 is off the table. We're not going to.
Yes.
I'm going by. So then I'm going to work from the bottom up in terms of records.
Okay, that's smart.
And we're going to start with the Carolina Panthers. Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they just put out a thing where they said that they want to trade for a number 1 receiver to help out Bryce Young. They're not in a good shape right now. They need to fucking get Devontae Adams if they want any hope. Like that's the only possible thing that I could see for them.
Yeah.
And Devontae Adams doesn't want to go to the fucking Panthers, right?
No.
He doesn't want to get out of Raiders hell only to go to Panthers hell.
No, I don't think so. And and then you kind of wonder, like, should you have traded DJ Moore as part of that trade package? Like, you kind of question that decision now a little bit. I'm not seeing it yet with this team. There was, I think, a little bit of hope that a coach like Frank Reich would come in and things would look good. But I guess it just has not. It's just not there yet. The talent's poor, specifically on the offensive side of the ball, and then on defense, it's just they just keep on losing really, really key players to injury, and it's a bummer. It's just a real bummer. But yeah, I'm with you. I think we're burying the Panthers.
Yep.
How about those Chicago Bears?
What do you think, Chris?
Yeah.
You saw a flash of hope, a spark of hope, if you will. And Justin Fields actually playing. Maybe Chase Claypool is like the worst player of all time, and his absence is what is boosting the Bears to success. But I'm not ready to believe that after just one game. So
yeah, and
the coaching on the Bears is just it is abhorrent now.
And I mean, if you just had any semblance of defense, you win that game. If you had any slither of defense, the Broncos just came out of nowhere at the end, near the end of that game, and stole that win. And and Fields did have a great game. Like, this was the week of quarterbacks who have been kind of maligned in recent times and ended up having pretty decent games. Like, this was kind of the week for them in a weird way. And I've always looked at Fields as someone that I feel like, if put into a better situation, would be a great quarterback. I don't look at this as a Trubisky situation as much, where like it just feels obvious that this guy is never going to hit like the heights of his draft pedigree. But Fields always just feels different. I feel like there's always been something there with him, talent wise, that it would get there. But like there is, I mean, it is on him. Like I'm not trying to like excuse that he's not played well for the most part. He does hold on to the ball way too long. Like there are definitely issues with his game, but like, man, there's just if there was better coaching in this situation.
The coaching is not allowing him to reach his potential. He has not reached his potential, and that is the truth.
Yeah.
But he's not been done any favors.
Let me ask you this. They're facing the Commanders on Thursday. Yeah. Let's say Commanders win handily. Does Eberflus coach another game? You think it's over after that?
I think it'll be over. I think Eberflus was, and I was like, I went on record last season, like when he was hired, and I said I was not thrilled by this coaching hire.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was the worst thing in the world, but that's because I like to be an optimist about things.
Of course, yeah.
No
wrong with that.
But Bastille was right in their song. Pompey. Ayo, ayo, how am I gonna be an optimist about this?
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about it.
It's been rough, yeah.
Yeah, Eberflus was not it. It's been a mess. McCaskey sold the team, moved to Arlington Heights, facelift. Yeah. Everything about this organization, please. It's not working. Whatever's going on right now is not working. People
have said that historically the Bears have been patient with coaches, and usually they do take a while to let go of coaches. And there has been a good point being raised that like who would even take on the role of an interim head coach. But maybe the Bears just pull a Colts and just pull someone from the broadcasting booth.
No, God. Oh, no.
And you know what? The Colts almost had that magical day in Minnesota before it got completely trampled on. Yeah, I don't know. It's a rough situation, and maybe they that would be my only thinking of why they would keep him any longer. Is just like, maybe we just ride the season out and fire him in January because we just don't have a good replacement option. Because I don't think Luke Getsy is getting it.
No. We don't have a DC either, so like...
Right, like it's been a weird one for the Bears.
All right, Nagy back.
Well, yeah, you know what? Might be better than what's happening right now.
Might be.
Let's talk Denver Broncos. This is now that was the 2 0-4 teams. We're moving now 1-3. The Broncos, of course, as we mentioned, came back against the Bears. They looked completely terrible in this game up until the final quarter, essentially. Sorry, that was my chain on my wallet. Yes, I have a chain on my wallet because I'm fucking living in the past. Anyways, I don't know, Matt. I look at this team and I'm like, yes, there's definitely improvement from Russell Wilson's point of view.
Yep.
It feels like he's playing better. And it's like, but I think my biggest issue though is that like there's been so much talk about the Broncos going into last season and even going into this season. It was like, man, if Russell Wilson just starts playing well, they have so much talent on this team. But the defense has barely showed up. The offensive players have not done anything. And it's just kind of like, well, what are we doing here? Is this like, I think everyone just thought that magically, of course we're talking in retrospect, and like I too was like in the mindset of like, you know what, if Sean Payton, who is a great coach by all regards, can take on this team with the talent that's on here, it should be a good team. But thus far, even after beating the Bears, I don't really have much confidence in them going the distance.
No, and I'm looking at their remaining schedule. They have like 2, maybe 3 winnable games left.
Yeah. I think I would be okay with bearing.
Me too.
All right.
That's easy for me.
There you go. Matt, talk to me about the Cincinnati Bengals.
I am fucking horrified about the Cincinnati Bengals right now.
Mm-hmm.
They might be the worst. I think they are the, like, even I think the Bears are the worst team in the league right now.
Sure.
Bengals might not be that far behind, even though they have a win. Because outside of that win, they have played abysmally on both offense, mainly on offense. But preseason when Jamar Chase said, "Hey Joe, why don't you sit out until week 5? Make sure that you're good to go." He was fucking right.
He was.
He was absolutely right.
The most frustrating aspect of this season thus far has been the insistence to have Joe Burrow continue to play, and maybe it's Joe Burrow himself who's insisting that. Is it the coaching? Like we don't really know what who's making that like final call on that front. Mm-hmm. But man, they're not being smart about this because, like, you're risking your franchise's future on this. Yep. So we're not just talking like,
and you just paid a lot of money,
and you paid a lot of money. Like, football careers end all the time to injury, and I'm not saying that if he did get injured, and obviously not going to, we hope that doesn't happen. If he does get injured with this specific injury and he's out for the season, like, he could bounce back, but like, do you really want to put him through that scenario, or do you want to rehab him to a point that maybe later this year he could come back and then you guys can maybe go on a run, or just say, you know what, we don't really have, there's parts of this team we want to improve. Let's just call this year a wash. It's not gonna happen. This is not as, like, this team can play incredibly well with Joe Burrow healthy, but maybe it might be a good idea to get a higher draft pick and have this team keep its Super Bowl window open by having a rookie that could come in and play right away and enhance the offense or enhance the defense. Like, nothing, like, Burrow's not the only reason why this team is 1-3. Like, they're not playing well on either side of the ball, and I just think I just wonder, what is the end goal for them? Are they just expecting Burrow to just snap out of his injury and start winning and start playing like he used to? Like, he's not going to while he's hobbled. It's just it's baffling.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think we can bury them yet.
Yeah.
But
I want to.
I want to. I'm terrified of them and their success this year.
Yeah.
But I don't. We've seen it too much in the past then I don't think we can bury them yet. They're close though.
Yeah, like
we're burying if they're not improved, they're getting buried at the next one.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm like, man, they were my Super Bowl pick. It's just,
dude.
but it's because I believe in Burrow. But I believe in Burrow when he's healthy.
Right. Yeah.
And again, yeah. Go ahead.
He can't play like this. I think we're on the same page.
Yeah. For many years when the Bengals were not winning any playoff games, they were just kind of like just doing the same thing over and over again. They had all those years with Marvin Lewis, and it was just a rough time. People all the time were saying what a shitty organization the Bengals were. That it did not have a good owner, that they were not smart with the decision making. But the last 2 years we've forgotten about that, and it's mainly because of Burrow, but it's because they had a lot of great talent that they built on this team. They made it to the Super Bowl in a big surprise that no one was expecting it, and then they kind of follow that up with another amazing season that found them on the in the AFC Championship game. But now it's like, oh, maybe this storyline of this ownership being incompetent is kind of rearing its ugly head again, and this is like to me an example of whatever it is, ownership or personnel, the coaches, I don't know, but it just something's not working. But I'm with you. We won't bury.
Yeah.
Arizona Cardinals.
The hot take. Not bury.
Yeah.
They're frisky. They're not going to win a lot of games, and I still don't think they'll make the playoffs.
No.
But they have Josh Dobbs has earned my respect enough to not bury the Cardinals yet.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too, my friend. I was thinking about this when reaching this. I was just like, are we actually going to not bury the Cardinals right now? Because I think that would have been the top candidate going into the season. That was going to be the expectation. And yeah, they're 1-3. Like it's not been like this miracle operation, but yeah, they're dangerous. They're dangerous. Yes. They're a dangerous team to face because you think it's an easy win and it's not going to be. Yeah, I'm cool with not burying them either. Next up, Las Vegas Raiders.
Everybody is turning on the Raiders and the coaching staff. I just literally saw a tweet about Jacobs and Adams, their frustrations. This team does not last the year intact. They are going to be a team that sells.
That's my thing too, is like it's not been awful. Like it's not been like a Bears or Panthers situation or
right.
But like it has felt a little unstable. and
Josh McDaniels might be the most head up his ass head coach that I've ever fucking seen.
It is, yeah. And like I think everyone just thought magically he was. I mean, and granted, like humans learn, and humans can learn lessons and not repeat mistakes. But I mean, look, his tenure with the Broncos ended in complete disaster, and he was brought back to the Patriots, and I'm pretty sure that was the only team that wanted him on there, and he won 3 Super Bowls with them. But I think it's very clear at this point that Josh McDaniels is a great offensive mind, but maybe just not fit for the head coaching spot. And it's not. It is just increasingly. It feels like things are going to just boil over at some point with this team, and everyone's going to get ousted, and including some of the best players in the franchise right now, like Josh Jacobs, like Max Crosby, like Devontae Adams. There's so many. That's the baffling thing. There's so many great players.
There's so many great players. Coaching sucks shit.
Yeah,
it's not a good team. Not a good situation. Bury them.
Yeah, I'm burying them as well.
Yep.
All right, it's time to go to New York. Talk about our next 2 teams. The loss. Let's start.
Start spreading the news. I'm leaving today. I'm leaving New York.
I'm leaving right now.
I'm leaving right now.
New York Jets
are friskier than the Giants. I'm less inclined to bury the Jets.
That's my thing too.
Granted, it was one good Zach Wilson game.
Right. Like here's the thing. Like it's my thing about the Jets is that I think belief, and maybe it's still true to a certain extent, that this team had a lot of talent, and the only missing piece was the quarterback. And getting Aaron Rodgers was that step to becoming a Super Bowl contender. Obviously, with Rodgers' injury, that changed expectations a bit, but it should still be a talented team. 2 weeks prior to this past Sunday, it has not looked like that. It's been looking like a mess, and because Zach Wilson was playing like a mess. But something, like, happened. I don't know what it is. I don't know. It's like the opposite of the seeing ghost games from Sam Darnold. Like, he saw God, and it was just like, you know what? It's time. He's from BYU. Of course he saw God. But, like, I don't know, like, he played a really great game. The end of the game fumble was brutal. But I don't know. Will that continue to happen? I doubt it. But if this team could just keep using its best players, and if he can at least play competently, not amazingly, just competently, they have a chance to win some games. I don't know if they make the playoffs, but I'm with you. I'm like, I don't know if I want to bury this team yet.
Yeah, I'm with you.
One little side note, real quick, because I don't know if we'll have a chance to talk about it. Like, we've done a good job of avoiding the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce conversation.
Oh yeah, that's a thing.
That's a thing that's been happening.
Yeah.
But one thing that I feel like has reared its ugly head is how now people are starting to think that the NFL is rigging games in favor of the Chiefs to keep Taylor Swift fans watching the football games.
No.
And
refs always blow calls.
Yeah,
this has been happening. This is not new.
Yeah, refs are terrible. We all can agree.
Refs are always terrible. This is not this is not a thing.
It's because someone was like, "Oh, the NFL bio changed to talk about Taylor Swift and the Chiefs. The NFL is in on a secret operation to give the Chiefs the Super Bowl again." And it's just like, no. First of all, the Chiefs are already a good team. Second of all, like,
you're just being sexist because you're upset that women are getting into this.
That's also probably a very valid point.
And having fun with it. Don't be sexist.
Well, that's the thing too. It's just like, look, I'm annoyed with the whole saga because I'm just like, I don't care. Like, I
literally do not give a shit about Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I don't care.
More power to you if you do. Right. Fine.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna sit here and be a hater about it, but
yeah, like I don't really care about this whole thing. At least the relationship itself, but it's more so the fact that it's like, I think the NFL is capitalizing on the idea of, hey, a lot of people are watching these football games now because they have, specifically the Chiefs games, because of this dating news, these dating rumors, and we're getting a boatload more money because of it. Let's just capitalize it and lead into it, which is what corporations always fucking do. They love money, but I don't think they're rigging I don't think they're rigging games to help the Chiefs. I think they're just leading into the fact that Taylor Swift's showing up and it's bringing people's eyeballs to the TV screen. So it's I don't know. It's fucking bizarre. But yeah, that those Jets calls were abhorrent, but give me a break about the NFL rigging things. It is a well-trotted storyline that we don't need to trot more. All right. Let's talk about the Giants.
I think we're burying them.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the first season. I don't know how long you and I have been doing this podcast.
At least 7 or 8 years. I
feel
like.
We've been doing this for a while. Obviously not specifically Retro Ball Boys, but as we've talked about before, we've been podcasting prior to the Ball Boys naming thing. But you know me, Matt. I have every single Giants season, I have come into the season with the lowest of expectations. I think that this team will always stick up the joint. I never think this team has enough talent on it. And there's been twice where they've surprised me. It was the 2016 season and then the last season where they
went on a boat.
Well, okay, we'll get there. We're getting there. So, you gotta let me get there first. So the 2016 Giants went on a tear. It was the first season under Ben McAdoo, and this was the offensive guru, that was doing very well on the team, and then he got the head coaching job after Tom Coughlin retired. Had an amazing season. The offense wasn't really the reason. It was more the defense. The defense was just very, very good that year. But they got to the playoffs, and yes, they rode a boat, and then that was the end of that story. That following season was a complete disaster.
Yeah.
I forget all the sequence of events because it has been 6 years, so forgive me. But the biggest event of this, and very fitting that Geno Smith was the one that just beat the Giants. One of the tipping points of that season was that Eli Manning, who had been playing like garbage, was benched, and Geno Smith, the backup quarterback at the time, was brought in to play. That was Ben McAdoo's decision. Giants fans lost their fucking minds. They were like, how dare you touch our 2 Super Bowl legend and bench him? Me at the time, with no really attachment to either of those Super Bowl teams, am like, you fucking go, Ben McAdoo. What a fucking great decision. Give Geno his time. After that game where Geno started, and I think he played fine, like, I forget, like, what happened in that game, they fired both Ben McAdoo and the general manager. They completely cleaned house. It was a complete disaster. And then they reinstated Eli Manning as a starter the very next week. And to this day, I've been so bitter about that, because I'm just like, you people are so fucking stuck in the past and living off of legend. And, like, why can't we just move the fuck forward and forget about Eli Manning? Like, he had a fine career with the Giants, but, like, at some point, dude's gotta go if he ain't playing well. And it just brings me to now, where we're coming off another year where the first year an offensive guru was playing, had an amazing first year as a head coach where they make the playoffs. They win the playoff game. They don't go on a boat this time. They actually go to Minnesota, beat the Vikings, who of course are not a great team either, but like, we beat them in a playoff game, and that was very special. I was riding high off of that. I probably said that Daniel Jones was my next god or something after that next podcast. And then of course they got completely trounced by the Eagles, and it was just like, okay, we come back down to earth. And then they give him, what is it, a $40 million contract? Whatever, a fucking shit ton of money. Don't sign Saquon Barkley. Granted, I get it because the running back market and all that, but like, don't do anything for Saquon. They give him like another year, and back like in August. But then this season is playing out the exact same way as the 2017 Giants, where it is just all flatlining. Any hope that the Giants had coming off of last year, where the offense was doing so much better than we ever could have imagined, and that was really the biggest reason why they were winning these games, because the offense was actually clicking and doing well, it has not showed up at all. It has been, with the exception of one half with the Cardinals, it has been terrible. It's been terrible. They've looked like the worst team in football. They're not called the Bears. No offense, Matt, but like, it's,
no, none taken. No, I'm on your side.
Like, it is. They've looked awful, and I am now questioning, especially after the Seahawks game, where I if you go back to the last podcast, I was tempted to pick the Giants because it's like, you know what? They've had a really rough start to this year. They played the Cowboys. They played the 49ers. They came back against the Cardinals. Maybe this is the game. Maybe. And then
Devin Witherspoon happened, baby. ILL.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Forgot about that aspect of it. But like, it just brings me back to the reality of the situation where I'm like, man, I don't know. Maybe they turn it around and they get somewhat decent down the stretch. I went into the season thinking I had a little bit higher expectations. Not so much that they would make the playoffs, but just like, okay, they'll do fine this year. They'll just kind of go through the motions. They'll play decent offense, and we'll get through this year, and it won't be a Super Bowl year, but then next year they'll get more talent, hopefully, and then we'll start to be in that conversation. The fact that it looks this bad right now does not give me much hope for the future of the New York Giants. I would bury them now. I would bury them next year, and I bury them the year after that, as long as John Mara continues being the owner. A man who, for some reason, gets so attached to the white brunette quarterback and cannot get over it. He was attached to Eli Manning, and how dare Ben McAdoo ever think about making a decision to bench Eli. And once again, going to Daniel Jones and being like, we love you. We love you so much. We're giving you all of our money. And yes, you stink up the joint right now, but we're just going to keep on riding you, buddy, because I bet you right now if Brian Daboll made that decision to bench Daniel Jones, maybe it won't be as much backlash, granted, but I don't know if John Mara will be saying about it. I don't trust him at all, but I also don't trust the operation as a whole for the Giants. So, sorry. Need to just get all that off my chest.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
But I'm burying the Giants.
I'm burying the Giants. They face the Dolphins and Bills next, and will likely be 1-5.
Yeah,
so
not good. Not
good.
Not a good situation.
All right. I only have one more team that I think we need to talk about, and that's the Patriots.
That's actually the next one. So please, I've talked so much. I need to drink water. Please talk about the Patriots.
All right, Patriots. We also need to talk about the Vikings, actually. Too.
We will.
Okay, Patriots, not looking good. Mac Jones is not it. There's not a ton to say, but like everything about the Patriots organization right now is red flag after red flag. The only team that they've beaten this year is the Jets. They have upcoming the Saints and Raiders, who could be winnable, but then Bills, Dolphins, Commanders, Colts. They're not going to succeed. Mac Jones is not a good quarterback. They have no one else on offense to help them out. Like it's a bad situation. I wonder, legit on the note of like legacy and shit. I wonder how much longer Belichick lasts.
Yeah,
because he's had abysmal seasons since Brady left.
Yeah. It's kind of becoming clear, like Robert Kraft is getting impatient. He's been in the media kind of talking about how he wants this team to kind of turn things around and work things out. They just lost Matt Judon and Christian Gonzalez to injury.
Yep.
Indefinitely. That's like two of their best players on defense. Yeah, it's not good. It's not a good situation. I would bury them.
Let's bury him.
And
Vikings, I feel similar about. This is a team I legitimately think Kirk Cousins should be traded to the Falcons. That is my hot take belief this season.
We will have a trade deadline podcast.
Yes, we will
later this month.
That is my like biggest fantasy right now, because obviously like Desmond Ridder ain't it, but they're 2-2 at least, and are at least going to be in the conversation for a bit. So
yeah. I think it's hard for me to bury the Vikings, only because I do still believe in their offense to some extent.
They at least in their losses, they've at least played closer. Like all their losses have been one score. Karmic payback from last year, I suppose.
Right. Yeah.
So they're gonna miss the playoffs with the leader in receiving yards and passing yards. And this is how the Vikings are going to be this year. Yeah,
they're probably going to miss the playoffs. I would like to see how more of the season plays out a bit before I consider burying them.
That's fine with me.
Yeah, they're like, to me, they're definitely a good replacement candidate. Yeah. It's just right now I'm like I don't feel very comfortable with that.
So our berries are Patriots, Raiders, Broncos, Giants, Bears, Panthers.
Yes. We do have 2-2 teams. I'll just list them quickly. If you have anything that you feel like you want to even hint at here, let me know. Colts, Steelers, Falcons, Texans, Browns, Rams, Commanders, Jaguars, Packers, Titans, Saints, Chargers. If I had to pick one that I'm like, a little bit tempted about out of this group, it might be the Packers, maybe, but and maybe the Steelers, but like.
So yeah, Packers and Steelers are tempting. They're tempting, but it's too early.
Yeah, and I think anyone I don't think you touch anyone in the AFC South because I think any of those teams could win the division at this point. Commanders, they're kind of tempting, but they're also been playing like they've had like hot and cold spells, and
they've been playing decent. I don't think we can bury them yet.
Yeah, and everyone else in the 2-2 category, I've kind of liked their seasons, to this point, to not give up on them. So, all right, yeah. So that's a shorter list than what we've had last year. But six spots I do think is a very good starting point. In terms of the berries. So we're gonna do picks in a second. I wanted to bring up real quick. We've been a couple of weeks ago we did our draft of zeros is what I called it. Where we drafted 2-0 and 0-2 teams. And our drafts were based off of how the teams that we think were going to be winless the longest or undefeated the longest. And you and I have had pretty equal footing. I instead of doing it by specific time, I did by the week or the amount of games at least that the team played before they got their first loss or first win. Mm-hmm. And so you and I are tied right now where my team had the Cardinals, Cowboys, Falcons. It took all of one game for them to get their wins or losses. Mm-hmm. And the Dolphins had 2 games before they got their first loss. I still have the 49ers and Panthers standing. And meanwhile, Matt, you had the Saints, Ravens, and Texans. They all either won or lost their first game. In week 3, and in week 4 the Broncos got their first win, and so you have the Bears and Eagles remaining standing. Putting bias aside, who do you think has the better chance of
Bears and Eagles versus Panthers and
Niners?
Bias
aside, I think the Bears Eagles potentially.
So the Bears I think are closer to the Bears are closer to a potential win window. Because after the Commanders, we have the Vikings and the Raiders.
I see.
And then 3 weeks after that, the Panthers. So I think the Bears are more likely to win sooner, I think.
Okay, fair enough.
And the Eagles have been playing really close. And holy shit, Chris, do I love the San Francisco 49ers this season.
Yeah.
So
well, it's because
I'm actually on your side.
You're also getting McCaffrey.
It doesn't matter that Christian McCaffrey is on 2 of my fantasy teams. That does not matter at all. Mr. Score a touchdown in every fucking game or score 3 and single-handedly catapult me into the upper echelon of the fantasy hierarchy.
Sure. Yeah.
Can you fucking believe that if I was between Christian McCaffrey and Jamar Chase?
Oof.
As my picks?
Yeah.
And how lucky I was that I decided to have 2 Christian McCaffreys?
Yeah. Yeah. You always want to replicate the Christian McCaffreys. You want to have multiple of them, especially when one breaks. You want to have.
I also have 2 David Montgomerys on the same teams that I have the Christian McCaffreys, but I didn't play him this week.
Yeah.
I still won.
Yeah, well, no, you're winning very strongly thanks to that running back right now. Some would argue maybe he's the only good running back in this league right now. Anyways,
Devon A-Chain exists. Excuse you.
That's true. That's fair.
A-Chan, sorry, A-Chan.
A-Chan, right? Yep. So let's go into the picks. Matt, you had a fire week. Yeah, you went 13-3. Very nice. What was
got my chaos too?
You got your chaos, so that also helped. Well, you got the Titans Bengals game wrong, which was one of our disagreements. But what were the other 2? Was it?
I chose Miami.
Okay.
Over Buffalo, and then I did choose the Saints.
Yeah. Okay.
Over the Buccaneers.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yep. Yeah. Everything that. Those were the 2 games I got wrong, plus the 4 of our games that we disagreed on. I was on the losing end of, so I ended up 10-6, and so I kind of I look at that and I'm like, I don't know what else I could have done. Like it just this stuff happened. So, yeah. But it does catapult you bigly into the lead, at least through this fourth week. So you're at 42-22 with 21 points in all. I'm sitting at 37-27, 11 points in all. Does that check out with your math too for your
for at least what I'm keeping track of? Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Which is my stuff.
Which is your stuff. You don't care about me.
I do care about you, but I trust you. You're a big boy.
There you go.
You can keep track of your own points.
I'm a applied data science master degree. I better be good at math in some capacity.
I hope you can subtract right. Double-digit numbers.
Right. Exactly. All right. Anyways, first game. Man, what a Thursday night football game. Chicago Bears at Washington Commanders. Did the NFL just be like, you know what? I think they actually do this on purpose. Do they purposely just put all the bad games in prime time early on, so that way they can just flex the shit out of the rest of the schedule, so that way you do get better games later? Because this sucks.
This sucks. This is bad. You know, this is not a good matchup. Thursday Night Football has traditionally been like the home of the Jets and the Jaguars.
Yes, yeah.
Like it's meant to be suck.
Yeah. It's been a rough go of it for Thursday Night Football in general as a concept. Anyways, it's the Bears and Commanders. Commanders are coming off a very close game, albeit still a loss for them against the Eagles. And of course, the Bears blew that 28-7 lead or whatever it was, and ended up losing to the Broncos. Matt, what do you think's gonna happen in this game?
I think the Commanders will win this handily. They've been playing pretty well, pretty consistently. I do like what they're doing on both offense and defense. It's not gonna light any worlds on fire, but it is consistent.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm gonna go Commanders. They're playing like a team that's riding the middle, and maybe they sneak into the playoff picture. We'll see.
All right, the Jacksonville Jaguars are taking on the Buffalo Bills. By the way, Toy Story game, not worth it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We never talked about that.
Okay, can we talk about it real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, please. So there were some technical issues, which you were kind of expecting. But it was pretty cool. Like, for the most part, the bones were there for, like, okay, I see what they were going for. Like, the players all moved around where you expect the players to be. The ball tracking was not very good. Yeah. In fact, there were multiple instances where they would throw it, it would hit the ground, and then they were like, touchdown! And it's like, that's not what I saw. But it was like, obviously, since it was Toy Story related, it was very much like marketed to kids.
Of course.
So it was like trying to make sure that you were keeping their attention the entire time. And like they had some interviews with players of like their opinions on like Toy Story characters and like their favorite pizza topping and like stuff like that. Like the executives like opinion on what they think kids would like to know.
Sure.
But then all throughout the game it was like I was like, oh, here's this like very adult explanation of the football play that happened. Oh, and also Zurg is here. Look out.
Zurg.
He's up to something.
I think I basically checked out on Sunday because I had a lot of family stuff going on, but good family stuff, nothing to worry about. But the one thing I did like from what I saw of the broadcast was they used the Slinky Dog as like the as the markers.
That is the only like true highlight of the program is that Slinky Dog was the penalty markers, because when they had to back it up for a penalty, you saw him just get longer, and I think that's more humiliating than getting the penalty itself.
Yeah, it is. It's just the perfect like wah wah, like as just walking backwards. It's very good.
Anyway, that's what the Jaguars did. The Bills have beaten their opponents, their last three opponents by at least 28 points.
Yeah, that's wild.
Who are you picking?
I will say just going back, I think Nickelodeon did something that I don't think people expected to be good, and it turns out like, oh, it's actually very good. They've been doing a very good job over there with their football broadcasts, especially the Patrick Star thing, because I still find that very funny.
That's not what he wanted to cook. Isn't it? Again, greatest call of all time.
I feel like that is more what I think kids would be into. I think just you could keep the football broadcast as is. you can just sprinkle in like fun, silly effects to things and have things be immersive, like having Patrick do commentary on the side. Like you don't have to go all out like the way the Disney Plus tried to do. It's weird. Anyways, I'm picking Bills.
I'm also picking the Bills. They're a really good football team.
Yeah, and I know it's London, but
God, I forgot the Jaguars had 2 games in London in a row.
Yeah, it is a London game, so I mean, you could change your pick, but I just still think the Bills are a better football team right now.
Oh, the Bills are insane right now.
Yeah. Next up, the Houston Texans at Atlanta Falcons. Texans are on a 2-game winning streak after starting 0-2. Falcons are on a 2-game losing streak. Or that was not where I should have put the emphasis, but anyways,
nope.
the Falcons are on a losing streak after it seems like Desmond Ridder has turned into a pumpkin. Meanwhile, CJ Stroud playing very well. What do you think is gonna happen here, though?
I feel very vindicated about my CJ Stroud over Bryce Young take.
Right. I remember that too.
Through 4 games.
Yeah.
I really like the Texans. I love that the energy that CJ Stroud is bringing, and I really like that this team is like, they're underdogs. They're fun to watch. Yeah. Chris, I am sorry to say, I think that one of your worst calls of all time, and this could age poorly too, is that Arthur Smith will win Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
I think like, other than Josh McDaniel, I think he's another like smell his own farts type of coach.
Yeah, I you know what? It was not. I had another coach written down there. I think I had Mike Tomlin written down, which also would not have necessarily aged well.
No.
But I had a lot of bad takes in the off season.
It's fine. It's fine. That happens.
As par for the course.
That's what it's for. That's what the off season's for. I'm picking the Texans.
Yeah, I'm picking the Texans as well. I think I really wanted the Falcons to take the next step, but as long as they have a quarterback that seems like it's holding back the offense and a coach that does not want to acknowledge that that's one of the key reasons why they keep on losing games, it's a problem. It's a problem, and that's going to persist.
Yep. You have Kyle Pitts and Drake London, and you throw to Mac Hollins and Jonnu Smith.
There you go. The true stars.
Yep. Carolina Panthers versus the Detroit Lions. Carolina's still looking for their first win and a wide receiver, apparently. Yeah. Detroit playing all their games really well. This is a good team. I like the Lions. I wonder if that spoils my pick. What's your pick, Chris?
I feel like the Lions are exercising some demons against the Packers, and I appreciate it. I know this is like their 3rd win in a row against the Packers.
Yep. But
like it is kind of satisfying to see this team coming together and playing as well as they are.
11-4 over the past 15 games.
Yeah. Slightly worried this could be a trap game, only because last year we thought the Lions would win this game easily, and then the Panthers beat them. But I am taking the Lions because they just have been playing very well. Their defense is getting better every single week.
They have one of the best rushing defenses in the league right now, if not the single best.
Yeah.
And potentially of all time. I'm picking the Lions.
There you go. The Tennessee Titans at the Indianapolis Colts. An interesting division matchup.
It is.
The Titans, of course, coming off of beating the Bengals 27-3. The Colts we talked about earlier. Been a fun team. Unfortunately fell short against the Rams. What do you think is going to happen in this game?
This is an interesting one. I think I like the trajectory of the Colts just a bit more than the Titans right now, but I don't think this is a slam dunk either way. I'm going to pick the Colts in this one.
I'm very similar to you. I'm going to pick the Colts, and I think if the Titans win this game, it's going to be because they play well on the front seven, because that's been their strength in this game, and they make it miserable for Richardson. But I just feel like Anthony Richardson is reaching a point where, like, even if you have like a really good pass rush coming after him, he's throwing the ball well out of pocket that I think that the Colts will end up being fine and that they win the game.
We don't have to spend a ton of time on this one. New York Giants versus the Miami Dolphins.
I've said all I needed to say about the New York Giants to last a lifetime at this point. I'm taking the Dolphins.
Yeah, Dolphins are going to bounce back. Obviously, the Bills are a good team. You can't expect perfection forever.
No.
And the Dolphins are going to bounce back against the Giants.
I think so. I think there's going to be a lot of. There's always a lot of hot takes after like a team's first win or first loss, depending on what it is, and so they will get themselves back on track. Next up, New Orleans Saints at the New England Patriots. The Pats, of course, coming off a bad blowout loss, and the Saints coming off of I think it was closer, but still not a great loss to the Buccaneers. And both of these teams just looking for answers on offense specifically. What do you think is going to happen here?
This was an interesting one. I'm actually going to go with the Saints. The Patriots got beat down bad.
Yeah.
And the Saints defense is still pretty good. They didn't play too great against the Buccaneers, but I think the Saints will take this one.
I also struggled with this one because I'm not entirely confident about the Saints. I wasn't entirely confident about the Saints operation right now. There's just things are not quite working out specifically on the offensive side of the ball. That said, you are playing Mac Jones, this Patriots team, and I think the real nail in the coffin to me is the fact that the defense that was the strength of this Patriots team is losing very key players, and so I'm also going Saints here.
All right. Baltimore Ravens versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Baltimore put a beat down in Cleveland, and the Steelers don't seem to have anything going on offense. Do you think the Steelers have a chance here?
We could see Trubisky this week.
See Trubisky over Pickett, yeah.
Which would be maybe an upgrade. Who knows? But either way, it's not a great situation.
I think it's a lateral move.
Yeah. I look at the Ravens right now, and like I'm not loving how the Ravens are playing. Like I'm not in like super into them yet, but I think that they'll do enough to win this game. But this is a fierce rivalry, so I don't count the Steelers out of this.
Yeah, they could definitely win here, but I do think that the Ravens have the better bones right now,
right?
And I feel very confident in the Ravens. I'm going to guarantee them this week.
Yeah, all right, good. I like that pick. It's to me. I think in a different kind of situation, it would be like, oh well, if this shit Steelers team against a Ravens team that's thriving. I don't know if I would love it, but this is a very fierce rivalry.
Yeah,
like
they're also only 3-point favorites, if that makes a difference.
No, of course. No, I'm just talking like in general, the context of like it feels like teams going in different directions right now, but at the same time, like you throw all that stuff out the window because these games are always like just brutal to watch. They beat each other up. So, but I like the guarantee a lot. Next up, the Philadelphia Eagles at the Los Angeles Rams. This is a game of the Eagles have been playing close with teams, but they still are undefeated. And now you go against a Rams team that hasn't had a great hasn't had a great defense through 4 weeks, but has been playing very well on offense. We'll see if Matthew Stafford plays. He should play for this game. Based off
everything I see seems to suggest that he will.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. What do you think's going to happen in this game?
Like you said, the Eagles have been playing a lot of games close. I'm actually going to team cast the Rams because I really, even with Stafford's injury, I like the idea of the Rams coming in and doing weird stuff.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, being this far back in our picks competition, I shouldn't do this, but I'm like, you know what?
Oh no.
This week I'm like I'm gonna I don't think I'm going where you think I'm going. I'm holding hands with you and jumping with you with this team chaos with the Rams.
Okay. I thought you were gonna super fuck out. I was like, that would be horrible for you.
No. I would have to do go back to. I was thinking about chaosing the Steelers. I will be honest. But I had the Rams selected. I have already chaosed the Rams earlier this year, and that worked out for me. So I'm just gonna try to go back to that because that's been my only good chaos thus far this year.
I can see it happening.
Yeah, and also I think the Eagles, they're a great team, but they have been playing extremely close, and I feel like it's only a matter of time where that's going to break a certain way, and it's not going to end well for them. But I still trust them, but it's just bound to kind of have a loss in there somewhere. So yeah, I think the Rams are going to be that this week.
Yep.
Team Chaos together.
Team Chaos together. Remember that one time we guaranteed and chaos at the same time? That was funny.
Yes.
Cincinnati Bengals at the Arizona Cardinals. Bengals fucking floundering. Where Arizona's been pretty feisty. Not the best team in the world, but feisty. Who do you think?
I am going with the Cardinals on this one.
I'm also going with the Cardinals.
Yeah. I hate it. Don't get me wrong. Like not that I hate the Cardinals. I hate that the Bengals are as bad as they are right now. But I just think that the Cardinals have played decent football and the Bengals are not. And as long as they continue to force Joe Burrow to play these games and have his limitations at quarterback right now because of his injury, they're going to keep on messing things up. And I think that this is a game where, yes, it could be like the Rams on Monday night where you do beat them, but I weirdly trust the Cardinals more right now.
Mm-hmm. I do too.
All right. New York Jets at the Denver Broncos. Two teams that obviously we've talked about are one we buried, one we didn't, but both are looking to get a second win to start turning their season around in some capacity. What do you think is going to happen?
This is, I think, the way for the Jets to prove that last week wasn't a fluke. And I think they will. I'm going to pick the Jets.
You and I are in lockstep this week. I'm going Jets as well. I think the Broncos are they're not a very good defense at all, and that should be a good thing for Zach Wilson.
Yep.
Ultimately. And I think that if the Jets are at least half the defense that they were projected to be coming into this season, they should take care of business in this game. So, going Jets.
Kansas City Chiefs versus the Minnesota Vikings. Chiefs not playing lights out like we're used to them playing a couple games pretty close, but it is against the Vikings. I do love the red and purple matchup. I will always salivate over a red and purple matchup.
Yes. And I think the Chiefs are salivating to get their hands on that Vikings defense and just tear them a new one.
Yeah.
I'm going Chiefs.
I'm going Chiefs.
All right, Sunday Night Football.
Dallas gets 2 Sunday nights in a row. Who do they think they are? America's team?
They were starting meeting this week and the next week?
Weren't they Sunday night last week?
No, that was Chiefs Jets.
Oh, that's right. I was thinking it was maybe it's getting dark. What shit's fucking with me?
Yeah, the tie. You know what? I know exactly what you're saying. The sun's going down earlier now.
Yep.
And so now when the Cowboys and Patriots were playing at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock at night, you're like, oh, this is Sunday Night Football. I mean, because technically it is, but not the branding.
But no, it's
not. But yes, the Cowboys go up against the 49ers in a massive, massive matchup. A game of the year candidate, I'm sure. What do you think's gonna happen, Matt?
This is going to define the NFC playoff race for sure. I really like both of these teams a lot. This is not a slam dunk by any means. But Christian McCaffrey for MVP, I'm picking the 49ers.
I was gonna select the 49ers too, but I do think I need to make some sort of dent this week in some capacity because
even if it's just one game.
Yeah, because just because I'm realizing I don't know if we're gonna even disagree on this last one. So you know what? I'm gonna switch my pick. I'm gonna go Cowboys just because it could happen. They could win this game. It's gonna be a fun game. I think it can be a toss up. If I'm going with my heart and my brain, it would be the 49ers. That would be my pick. But again, just to see if I can inch back into this picking competition a bit, I'm gonna think strategically here and go and pick the Cowboys.
Cool. And Monday Night Football, the Green Bay Packers versus the Las Vegas Raiders. The Chargers, Browns, Buccaneers, and Seahawks are on bye this week.
Yeah.
Packers versus the Raiders. Packers have had a weird start to the season, have showed out in some games and have been awful in others. But they are against the Raiders, who have mostly been not good.
Right.
And, yeah, who do you think's going to win?
Damn, I just remembered it's Devontae Adams' revenge game.
It's Devontae Adams' revenge game. That's significant.
That is significant. But that said, I am going to pick the Packers. I still, I went into this season believing in the Packers. I had them as a wild card team. I still think they can get there. I think their 2 losses have been against decent teams. I know the Falcons are not looking that good right now, but for the first 2 weeks, they were looking great. And then I think they fought a very good Lions team. I think against the Raiders team that has been extremely mediocre and has been flat out terrible at times this year, I think the Packers will bounce back and should win this game.
Yeah, 3-2 Packers doesn't necessarily make sense in my mind.
That's fair.
But I still think they're going to beat the Raiders. Come on, it's the fucking Raiders.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, by the way, I'm guaranteeing the Packers. I didn't say my guarantee.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm guaranteeing the Packers just because in that belief of I personally look at the Packers and still think that there is hope to be had there, even if things have not been pretty thus far. And I do think I'm with you where I'm like, oh man, this Raiders team is a mess. They actually released Chandler Jones last week, which that's a really sad situation.
That's a whole other thing that we don't need to really talk about.
No, I know. It's really sad situation. It's whatever's happening there, we can't really comment on that, but
yeah.
It has just been an absolute mess for the Raiders, so I believe that this Packers team will take care of business.
Cool.
Guaranteed it. All right. Well then, with that, thank you all so much for tuning in. I don't have anything picked out for next week's mid-segment. I'm sure I'll come up with something by that point. But for now, we'll leave you with the fact that we got football as soon as tomorrow, or at least when you're seeing it, it'll be tomorrow, or listening to this. Not the best week of football games, but I think it's gonna end well. I think I'm very excited about the Cowboys 49ers.
The Sunday night game's fucking perfect.
Yeah,
are you kidding me?
Yeah, they Mike Tirico will be eating well. Anyways, folks, thank you all so much for listening, and we will see you guys next week.
Good night and good ball.